All right, everyone. Welcome back to Sports Flow with BK and Speaks. This week, we're going to be talking about the NFL draft
Woo!
that will be taking place here on April 25th through the 27th.
In the Dirty D, baby.
In Detroit, Michigan. What a time for the city. You got to love it. We'll be looking into the Detroit Lions draft selections and what direction we think they may go here.
We got a Hollywood sign in Detroit now, baby.
Yeah, it's
Big time.
coming up for sure. And but when we're looking at the picks here for the Lions, right out of the gates, round one, we're looking at pick 29 for us. Round two, we're sitting at pick 61.
Yes, sir.
Round three, we got pick 73. That one's from the Minnesota Vikings. We got that one in the TJ Hawkinson trade.
Heck yeah.
And then we're looking at round five, pick 164. Round six, pick 201 from the Buccaneers there in that Carlton Davis trade.
Yep.
And then round six again, pick 205. And round seven, pick 249. Now, when you're looking at the major needs here entering into the draft, what are you thinking, Speaks?
Yeah, so major needs, our foundation is our offensive line. We have our starting unit in place, and yes, we did get better this offseason, but we also got older. So we want to keep that offensive line a strength. We want to build from within like we've done. And we need to start that in the trenches with offensive line, and I think that's a big need for us. So, that's a huge need. Wouldn't you agree with that, BK?
Absolutely. I think it's got to be a priority.
Yep.
When you're looking at it, you don't know what's going to happen with Ragnow going forward here. He was talking about potential retirement this offseason. I know Taylor Decker's extension comes up.
Yeah, that's a big looming one.
Yeah, here at the end of the year. You got to pay Hutch, you got to pay Sewell, you got to pay a lot of these guys, St. Brown still.
Yep.
And when you're looking at it, I'm not sure we will be able to afford Decker.
Yep.
Despite how good he is.
Unless he wants to take a discount to stay.
Yep.
He said he does want to finish his career in Detroit, so.
Which would be cool. It'd be awesome if Decker was willing to do that. But those are definitely pieces there that you got to be looking at entering into the draft.
Yeah, I completely agree. Another, big need, with the whole Cam Sutton situation, cornerback is huge at play right now for us. Carlton Davis, he's going to lock down one side, and then we got Robinson. But I just thought, with Sutton, he was our true two. Not that, that can't be Robinson, but, I still think it's a need. We need to be deep there. That was a big hole for us last year, and we need to fill it.
Yeah, I think it was a need before the Cam Sutton thing.
Yeah.
And now it becomes even more of a need. I think you make a good point with Akeem Robertson there. A great guy that we've brought in from Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Was a starter over there, but I'm not sure he can be that stable piece.
He said he can. He didn't come over here for no reason. I like the confidence.
He's got that dog in him, man.
He does.
And I like it. But, you're looking at him, he's a little undersized there, too.
Yeah.
You almost got to have another corner here that can play the outside, or you could go with a versatile piece just because I know that fits Aaron Glenn's system as well. So,
yep.
Definitely a need and definitely a spot where we're going to have to look here in the draft.
Yeah, I completely agree. Next one, wide receiver. This is a need. I think we need a bigger guy on the outside. To pair with, our young core and JMO and St. Brown. And, I think that's at play.
Yeah, it's got to be. Donovan Peoples-Jones is solid, and we don't know what they think about him, but he could also be that guy, and he could already be in the system. But you don't have an elite athlete. You don't have the big body on the outside yet in this core. You got two stellar playmakers in St. Brown and Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams has that speed on the outside, and St. Brown works the middle of the field better than just about everybody in the league. But you got to have another piece there eventually.
A big physical guy.
Yep, could be Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah.
But
he's going to be great for us. I love him. But
in a good class this year at the wideout spot, it might make some sense to pull the trigger on a guy here and see if you can get that done.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, BK.
And then I think the other thing you got to look at here too, man, is like the D-line depth is going to be a big thing going into this too.
I agree.
The focal point in the offseason has been pretty clear about what the Lions are trying to do. They're trying to strengthen up that defensive line unit, and they're trying to strengthen up the secondary. I think with the D-line depth, you got James Houston's contract is running up here. They're going to have to re-sign him at the end of the year. You don't know what his production will be. I know he had a 10-sack season out of him.
And we don't know what we're going to get out of Davenport either.
Not yet, but I mean, obviously there's high optimism there as well. But I think it just makes a lot of sense to look there and just continue to build on that depth and try to turn the unit into a strength here.
Yeah, because it wasn't, our biggest strength last year, and we need to build on that. So, that's definitely at play. And then, this is a strength for us right now, but our linebacker crew, we got great depth, but it's never, a bad thing to add depth and, have these young guys learn under the stellar talent we have in that group right now.
Yeah, I mean, they really need rotational pieces there.
Yeah,
special teamers. I mean, Anzalone looks like he's locked for at least a few more years here.
Yeah,
and Jack Campbell's going to be the staple going forward. But and Barnes is good. They have some
Barnes
depth
played great last year, and then you still got Rodrigo.
Yep, I mean they've got depth pieces. It's just about getting the core to be in a situation where they're able to lose a guy or two, and they can just plug and play at that point.
Yep, absolutely.
But when I'm looking at the picks entering into the first round here, Speaks, at our pick 29. There's a lot of guys that we like here.
Yeah, there are. Let's get into them, baby.
Yeah, we don't really know who's necessarily going to be here at pick 29, but these are guys who are kind of falling into the range with the mock drafts. So there's possibilities they could be there. And we're going to talk about the ones that we really like from that core group.
We think it fit our culture and our system.
Exactly. Guys we're considering.
Yeah.
And I think the first one I got to come out and say right out of the gates here is Kingsley Suamatia, the offensive tackle
I love this pick.
Out of BYU. I don't know why everybody's overlooking us potentially drafting this guy.
Yeah,
I like the pick a lot. The guy played left tackle over at BYU, played right tackle for a season over there, has the ability to move around. And a bigger selling point here than anything else, I shouldn't say that because his game is elite.
Yeah, it is.
But another high selling point with this is Kingsley is Penei Sewell's cousin.
Bloodline, baby.
Bloodline there. You're getting a situation where you know what you're going to get out of the guy. You've seen it with Sewell. You have Sewell in his corner.
You're going to make Sewell happier.
Keep Sewell happy, entering into the contract discussions. Could potentially play on the other side of Sewell for a long period of time here with the right tackle and left tackle position. But I think Suamatia makes a ton of sense here.
As do I.
The guy plays with a mean streak, creates a lot of space in the run game. Probably one of the top 3 athletes at the offensive line position in the draft. Great run blocker, great pass protection. Needs a little bit of work. He's a little sloppy with the pass production. But has
work on his hands a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just has to get him up a little quicker, more stable with it. But has the versatility to play a lot of positions. Probably isn't a day one starter entering into the league. But we don't
need him to be that right now.
Don't need him to be that. This is a pick to line yourself up right for
the future.
For the future, and next year entering into those Decker discussions to make sure that you're covered there regardless of what happens. I think Decker's conversations with management is obviously going to play a big part in this pick.
As do I.
He won't be considered if Decker is going to stay a long period of time, but if there's going to be movement there, this guy makes a ton of sense for us to look at 29.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think he's a stud. And, with the bloodline, like I said, of Penny, I'm all about it because, you're getting a dog. So
moving people, and that is what the Lions are building themselves around right now.
Absolutely. Another guy me and you really liked, Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Great, big wide receiver on the outside that can win jump balls and one-on-one matchups. Being overlooked a lot in a lot of the mock drafts because he had a slower 40 time, 4.61. But he does not run like that game speed. He has that game speed out there. Some guys have it, some guys don't. He is one of those guys who does. Clean and powerful route runner, very crisp, 38-inch vertical. but he's great at, high pointing the ball, kind of like St. Brown was at USC coming in. Like that's what he really excelled in, and look what he's doing in the NFL right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you look at it and people are like, oh, 40 time this, and maybe he's not the fastest and we're worried about it. But when you watch the one drill in the combine where they run down the line straight, catching the balls on each side and making sure that they just stay on the course, Keon Coleman ran it the fastest and the cleanest. He did not fall off that line. Yeah. The dude is a great route runner, great piece that we could add on the outside there. Also somewhat of a local product.
Yes.
Playing at Michigan State for a while. Keon Coleman would be a great fit for us and should be there at 31.
Yeah.
Or at 29. Apologize.
Yeah, no, I think he would be a great addition, if he's there. So that's awesome. And then
I think you also got to look at a couple other receivers.
Yeah.
There. I think another guy who's going to go right in this range.
Love this guy. We love this
guy because obviously we're Michigan fans.
Yes.
But he's flying up draft boards because he's smart.
Yep.
He's flying up draft boards because he knows how to run block. The guy's route running is crisp. He's great with the ball in his hand.
Had a great
hands
Senior Bowl.
In space. Yeah, was tearing people up at the Senior Bowl. Basically every top corner he was going up against.
He was burning them.
Beating them in reps. Roman Wilson here, wide receiver out of Michigan.
Speedster.
Could be considered. I don't know if he'll fit what we're looking for because I think we might be looking for that big body piece.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for another guy to work the middle of the field, a guy that's going to help you in the running attack, and a guy who can get into space and make some more plays similar to what J-Mo and St. Brown can do, Roman Wilson would be a good fit here.
Yeah, no, I'd love to, have Roman. Like you said, I don't know if it's a fit, but, we could be going that direction. So you just never know. Another position group that we mentioned in need, edge rusher out of UCLA. How do you pronounce this one, BK?
Liatu
Latu. I want to make sure he had this guy, more than me. So, yeah, he's extremely, productive pass rusher. He's quick off the line, would be an immediate productive pass rusher in the league on the other side of Hutch. With Houston's, contract extension looming, you got to consider it. He'd be a great pickup. Will be at least 10 sack year guy in the NFL, we're thinking.
Crazy pass rush ability. Actually, I mean, you forget about James Houston if we get Latu. Because Latu...
Don't say that about my boy Houston. Come on.
I hear you, but Latu has the ability to be a serious game wrecker here in the league. Putting him on the other side of Hutch would turn this Lions pass rush into quite a nightmare for opposing teams.
And that's what we need and want.
Yeah. Oh, no question. And I think another thing that we have to want and maybe look at here with Frank Ragnow talking about retirement is interior offensive linemen. And there's one in this draft that people are all about. And actually, there's a couple. I mean, there's Graham Barton out of Duke, big-time center that a lot of people are thinking could go a little higher too. But this guy, if he's there, I think this is a serious guy that we have to consider. Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. Plays center, plays guard, absolutely
versatile.
Moves people. Very good leader on the line, knows how to call the game. Would be an excellent interior offensive line piece for us. We know that the O-line's a strength. You got to continue to build upon the strength. And we don't know what's going to happen with Ragnow, so he is definitely in play if he makes it there at 29.
Yeah, and it's always good to have guys who can play multiple positions on the offensive line, just like our boy Graham Glasgow. That adds a lot through when injuries, to move people around. So it's just a great selling point to look at, in this draft. Another, need that we mentioned, cornerback, Cooper DeJean. Is that how you say it? DeJean, baby. Cooper DeJean fits the culture of the Lions. Great athlete in the secondary, great ball skills. And he's a great tackler on the outside. It will help in special teams.
Yeah, return abilities.
Yeah, return ability is, insane. Would be an outstanding piece for us to add in our secondary with his athleticism and just pure playmaking ability.
Yeah, he would fit very well for us. Big question mark if he'll be there at 29. He seems to be skyrocketing up boards too.
Yeah.
People love that versatility and where you can add benefits in other departments than just the secondary. He definitely boosts teams, special teams as well. DeJean would be a great pick for us there.
Yeah.
My favorite pick in the draft.
We both like this pick a lot.
I'm hoping he makes it to us. I think it's a big question mark with it. I don't know how high we are on him, but I know he came in for the draft day visits that the Lions did have. Cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama.
He's a stud.
Has to be the guy here if he's on the board, I think. When you're talking about Kool-Aid, he can play the outside.
Yeah.
Lockdown outside corner.
Faster than I'll get out.
Fast as can be. I mean, you're talking about a guy who had a stress fracture on his foot, ran the 40 at Alabama's pro day and ran it like mid 4.4s, I believe.
That's just crazy.
Just absolutely insane. Has great ball skills, knows how to work the outside of the field like I was mentioning. I mean, we've been looking for an outside corner for years and a guy that you can place on an island out there. If you got him and added him with Carlton Davis, that is an absolute massive upgrade to our
defense. You want to know what? He fits our culture. A guy who's not afraid to go into the combine with an injury, potentially hurt his draft stock. He doesn't care about that. He has grit. That's what Dan Campbell's looking for. He fits our culture. He fits our locker room. He would be great if he's there.
Yeah, and these DBs coming out of Alabama are no joke.
No.
Nick Saban is the DB whisperer.
Yeah.
The guy knows how to coach defensive backs in a way that many collegiate coaches don't. But he is always going to be known as one of the best as coaching that position group, and McKinstry would be an outstanding fit for us here. I think we run to the podium if he's there.
Agreed. Another D-line, Johnny Newton out of Illinois. We got to watch this guy play, being Big Ten guys. Newton plays with a mean streak. He's violent style, fits our culture and scheme. He'll bite your kneecaps off. He moves the O-line, man. He has that grit. He plays mostly in the interior, which, we don't know. We don't know, but, we'll see. Huge need right now with, McNeil's contract extension looming. He may be a good option for us here.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if it's a huge need. Again, we don't know what's the situation with McNeil.
Yep.
There's a lot of looming questions around the Lions because you have all this young talent, but now you got to start re-signing it.
Yeah.
It gets into an interesting situation. But Newton plays the style that the Lions like. Newton fits the culture. Newton would be an outstanding pick for us here if there was a massive need. I'm not sure that's the way we're going to go. I don't know if he can play the outside, but yeah, he's definitely in consideration there. Chop Robinson's next on my list. We talk about defensive linemen.
Yep.
Edge out of Penn State. Chop will give you a stable pass rush on that other side of Hutch. Again, he's an upgrade from what James Houston would be. With Chop, I mean, you're going to get a dominant pass rusher, probably another 10-sack a year type of player, but he's a little bit better against the run than Latu is, but he's not as good in the pass rush. But Chop Robinson would be a great piece for us here too.
Yeah, no, he absolutely would.
The other guy, man, I got to talk about.
Yeah, no, this is your boy. I'll let you get right into it. Yeah, I ain't going to steal your thunder on this guy.
I got to tap into this guy because, I mean, I'm watching all the film on him, and Lad McConkey, the wide receiver out of Georgia, it has to be in consideration here for the Lions. I mean, you're talking about a situation here with McConkey where he is an extremely crisp route runner, knows exactly where he's going to be on all the field at all times, has extremely great hands, very stable guy. You know what you're getting with the guy.
Yeah, and anytime you have the last name McConkey, like R.I.P. Shane McConkey, you're a stud.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he works the middle of the field, similar to what you're going to get with St. Brown.
Yeah.
So that's the question on if he's in consideration here for this pick. But when I look at the tape on McConkey and I see everything that he's doing and the way he runs routes and the way he goes about his business and how smart he is at playing the position, this dude is eerily similar to Cooper Kupp.
That's high praise.
And it would not surprise me if Lad McConkey becomes a player like that, Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua over there.
That's really high praise. Those two guys are just absolute freaks of nature.
Freaks. And that's what I'm saying. I think Lad McConkey is going to be a steal for whoever takes him here in the draft.
Yeah.
People were downplaying his speed. His speed was there. He was in the mid 4.4s. This guy is going to be a star. I don't know if he's in consideration for us, but him and St. Brown working the middle of the field together with Laporta there too would be an absolute terror for teams to deal with.
Yeah, he's gonna, I don't know if he's gonna be there, but whoever is getting him is getting an absolute dynamite wide receiver for years to come. Another wide receiver, Xavier Legette out of South Carolina.
Yeah, Legette out of South Carolina.
Yeah, Legette. Legette is, a great athlete on the outside that can, be, a big wide receiver in our offense. He's great with the ball in space. Has great high point skills, jump ball skills. Could be an option for us at 31 or, early in the second round, whatever we decide to do, if we trade back, trade up, we have options.
Yeah, Legette makes a lot of sense if he's the guy there potentially in the early second, maybe even in the late first. I mean, this guy is an unbelievable playmaker. Could be the piece for us on the outside that we're looking for a guy to win the one-on-one matchups there.
And then let me jump in because this is my number one overall guy that I want us to get at 29. He might be there later with his size. He's underappreciated a little bit
because of the
position. But this guy is my guy I wanted, like when we got J-Mo. This is the guy I think is gonna turn us into what we need. Mike Sandersill out of Michigan. He just can do it all. He reminds me of the Honey Badger, Ed Reed a little bit, just always in the right spot at the right time. And this reminds me and Brian a lot of last year, Brian Branch. I think he comes into a team and he makes an immediate impact, and he is that guy.
Yeah, smart. Tackles well. I mean, the only question mark about Sandersill is the same thing as Branch. Where do you play him?
Yeah.
He can't really play on the outside, or people don't believe he can based off of his size. But I'm not buying it. I mean, I saw the guy play at Michigan for a while.
Former wide receiver, converted. He knows what he's doing. He's always in the right spot at the right time. He's a ball hawk. He knows what to. Great tackler, great instincts. Look at him. He's the one who had the last, tackle in the Alabama game to seal that Rose Bowl up for us, man. He's the real deal.
Yeah, my only question mark about him is he Brian Branch again?
I do think so,
because it's like one of those things too. Like, would he play the same spot as Branch, and does he fit? So that's where I
think he can play on the outside too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a weapon on the defense.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because I agree with you. I love Sanders still. I'm just not sure that would be the direction the Lions go. I think they would value McKinstry over him, but it would be close there.
Yeah, well, McKinstry might be gone opposed to Sanders still too. So, but True. We'll just watch and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's a lot of unpredictables in this draft this year. This is a loaded class, top to bottom, and nobody's really exposing their board at this point.
Nope.
Wide receiver, when we're looking at it in the second round, probably. I don't think this guy's going to make it past 61. Jalen McMillan out of Washington.
Yeah.
He's starting to fly up some draft boards. The guy has outstanding route running ability. Very explosive, too, on the outside. Would be getting a lot more attention if Rome Odunze wasn't on the other side of him.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I mean, Odunze kind of stole the show there. But Jalen McMillan would be a good piece for us there if he's there at 61, but that's a bit of a stretch there. We'd probably have to move up to get him there.
Yeah, you never know, but he would be a great pick. And then another great pick, adding to our, offensive line, Michigan man, Zach Zinner. He would be borderline first round pick if he was fully healthy going into this draft. Top guard in all college football this season. He played in a pro style offense with Harbaugh. And he would give the Lions a starting guard moving forward.
Because you don't know what Zeitler's going to be in a year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's going to be a big piece, with our offensive line already being in place. But, hopefully he'd fall to us here. His value is tough to, evaluate with the talent level and the injury conversation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Zinter is an outstanding piece for us if we're able to get him here. I think the guy would be a first rounder if he wasn't hurt at the end of the year, and he fits our style. So, I mean, it would make a ton of sense. But, again, we'll see if he's there. He seems to be one of those guys that nobody really knows about with
Yeah.
the injury versus, what his talent is.
Yep.
We seem to be hitting on a lot of these Michigan guys,
Hey,
but there's good reason for it. I mean, people have to understand that this Michigan team was pretty special on the defensive side.
Oh, God, were we ever.
And then also on the offensive line, like we're talking about, and Roman Wilson is a freak in his own right.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about another Michigan guy that could be in consideration here, you got to look at Chris Jenkins.
Absolutely.
A versatile piece on Michigan's defensive line. Can play inside, can play out. Very hard worker.
Great locker room guy.
Great locker room guy. Probably could be there at 61, maybe 73, similar to Pascal, but he'll give you a ton of depth there. And a guy who is very, very structured in this scheme and knows his role and knows how to play it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that another guy, blastering the offensive line, Cooper Beebe, Kansas State, stable piece at guard that would add great depth, and a starter going forward on the O-line, build on the strength, high floor with Beebe, great in the run game, solid in the pass protection. Could be available at 61, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes much higher either.
Yeah, his value is tough to determine too. I mean, this offensive line class this year is absolutely special.
It is.
It's the best we've seen in a very long period of time.
Absolutely.
People are trying to gauge where these guys are going to go, and it's basically all preference from the way I understand it right now. But when you're looking also at other pieces that we could add here even later, when we're talking into like the 5th and 6th round a little bit, you start looking at Sion Vaki, the safety out of Utah. Very just unmatched effort whenever he's on the field. Absolutely an explosive player. But when you're talking about him too, it's the versatility that people really like.
Yeah.
Played running back at Utah. Very good special teamers. Primary position is a safety. The guy
can do it all.
Fit to be on a roster, an
Absolutely.
NFL roster with that type
athletic freak when you can play that many positions and be successful at them.
And have that type of effort. So he could be there at 201 or 205. That would be a pretty good pick for us there.
Yeah, and then, linebacker depth for us. We talked about Michael Barrett, another Michigan man. Very versatile, that plays with a ton of speed. Incredible effort, part of Michigan's stout defense this year.
Big part.
Yeah, can tackle, make plays in space, undersized for the NFL, but as a depth piece and special teams player, he would be a nice pickup. Should be there at 164, might make it to 201 or 205. So I think he would be, a great player if he's, still there for us.
Yeah, good locker room guy too. I think Barrett would make a lot of sense there. Another linebacker that we could be considering here late is JT Bertrand, linebacker out of Notre Dame. He's a great off-ball linebacker. It feels like Jack Campbell's going to be that on-ball linebacker going forward for the Lions for many, many years. But Bertrand's good in coverage. Would be a great depth piece for us there. He should be around come pick 201 or pick 205 there.
Yeah, and then another edge guy out of Michigan once again, Braden McGregor, local product that can fit us, solid depth on the edge of our D-line, kind of overlooked with, how stout Michigan's defense was this year, but he's flying up the draft boards right now. Would be a great depth piece for us here. I could see him, being there at 73.
Yeah, if we're lucky. I mean, McGregor seems to be flying up the board. And I know we're talking about a lot of these Michigan guys, but they fit the culture for the Lions. The Lions have come out and said that publicly. And the other side of it is, I mean, you're talking about an all-world defense where there's many of these guys getting drafted, and they're getting drafted for very good reasons.
Hutch hasn't done too bad for himself.
No, Hutch is a pretty good reference for us on that front. But the other guy, too, and this is another Michigan guy that could be considered. And, when you're talking about picks 201 and 205, these are very good value picks late. And I'm talking Jalen Harrell here on the edge as well from Michigan. Guy plays a great edge, very good in the run, also can provide that pass rush. Would be a very good depth piece to add to the defensive line if he's there at 201 or 205.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Our Michigan mans, we just had a really deep, defensive class. Well, pretty much everywhere. But that's we're bringing them up for a reason because they fit the culture.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all those guys would be pretty good fits for us if we end up going that way. But that's kind of a piece of what we're looking at where we're talking about the Lions specific picks there.
It should be a lot of fun with the draft in Detroit this year. Any fellow listeners going, it should be rocking like it is at Ford Field. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves. I wish I could be there. It looks like it's going to be great. I saw some stuff online. It looks like they've really gone all out. So, be rowdy, have fun, and enjoy.
Yeah, it should be a great time. It's great to have an event like this in the city.
Yeah.
And, it's cool to see the Lions on the uproar here.
We get to see the new jerseys revealed here soon too. That's exciting.
And the draft. I mean, you gotta love it. But
yeah,
that'll do it here for this episode of Sports Flow with BK and Speaks. Thank you for joining us. I hope you all enjoy the draft, and we'll be back here after the draft concludes to kind of analyze our picks.
Absolutely.
And show how the roster's shaping up for the upcoming season.
Yeah, now cook in the kitchen, Brad.